Welcome to another installment in my complete chronological rewatch, where I'll be going back through almost every Star Wars film and show as I work my way to the Rise of Skywalker. I've already gone through some of the movies, so be sure to check those out for yourself after this. Today we're going over the Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 19, The Zillo Beast Strikes Back. Set in 21 BBY, Republic forces bring the Zillo Beast to Coruscant for study. When it escapes, the Jedi must choose between saving millions of lives and destroying the Zillo Beast, the last of its kind. Even though I wouldn't consider it because of the quality of the episode, watching this again, I think I was a bit disappointed with how it was, or maybe just a little angered by the content of the story. This episode continues the idea of morality from the last episode, and this episode in particular makes Palpatine a very dislikable character. Although he does it under the guise of protecting the clones and the citizens of the galaxy, he displays absolutely no level of morality as he has the Zillo Beast experimented on and ultimately killed because of his mistake to bring the most dangerous beast in the galaxy to the most populated planet, an error that he doesn't even own up to or admit. The closest thing we get is from Anakin at the end saying that the beast paid for our mistake, not even putting the blame on Palpatine. And in my opinion, the episode also makes him seem like kind of an idiot, not the same evil mastermind and cunning Sith Lord we know him to be. He brings the beast to Coruscant, which even though they may have the best technology there, that is the most obviously bad idea, and he refuses to listen to anyone that says otherwise. And then he insults the beast to its face, which not only is just an ordinarily rude thing to do, but is completely unnecessary. And then the closest we get to justice is the beast poking its eye at Palpatine a few times, and making him scared for his life. Although we don't even know if he recognized that it was after him in particular. So yeah, a lot with his character that is hard to watch here. But other than that, it's a pretty decent follow-up to the last episode. It had a fairly slow start to it, pretty much until the Zillo Beast escapes, and I found it amusing how the clones had blasters aimed at the beast as it arrives on Coruscant. After seeing it in action last episode, we all know those guns are going to be useless, and then they nicely called attention to it later on when one of the clones pointed out how useless it was for them to be guarding the cage. Once the beast escapes, it looks very small compared to everything else on Coruscant, which I think really shows the scale of just how big these skyscrapers and the planet is. It was nice to see a few more Jedi than usual. We had Yoda, Aayla Secura, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and Anakin all on screen for the final bit of action. And once it's killed, at least for me, it was actually a fairly sad death. Not because I particularly cared about this specific creature, but because of what it represents about humans here and their ignorance and ability to do harm. A few smaller things I noticed throughout the episode. There's a brief Mon Mothma cameo in the background, which is always welcome. And then when the beast is first escaping and climbing through Coruscant, the guns from the ships bounce off the armor, while later on when it's at the Senate building, the armor absorbs it. I find it hard to believe that this is an error that would have been made in animation, but it doesn't look like they were different kind of shots or something like that. The episode ends with Palpatine ordering the Doctor to clone the beast, and while this would have been very interesting to see, I think the payoff in the Bad Batch kind of falls flat, at least from what I vaguely remember from seeing the episode when it premiered. It never really serves a purpose in the war, or for Palpatine's agenda. The big thing with this episode is still the argument of morality in killing the beast to save the lives of the clones and citizens, and it really draws parallels to the real world when it comes to immoral experimentation on animals and creatures, and where do we draw the line when it comes to hurting another species or even country to save lives elsewhere. This doesn't even really mean only experiments and testing, but I recently released 2 videos talking about Oppenheimer. Same thing, where is the line when it comes to dropping bombs on innocent civilians to end the war and stop the deaths of Americans? And like Padme says in this episode, it isn't necessarily about what the Zillo Beast was capable of, but more about what the people are capable of doing to it. Especially when we're talking about the Chancellor and Senators and Jedi, people that are in power. There are relatively few people to hold them accountable, and Anakin doesn't even dare to fully speak out against Palpatine. He just takes the middle ground to prevent any argument with him. Let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below, and where it ranks among your favorite episodes. Remember to like the video, and subscribe to stay up to date with my chronological rewatch. As always, thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you. Always.